Hey guys, Ernest Langdon with Langdon Tactical, and you've made the decision to put a red dot on your handgun. Let's talk about the next steps. Okay, the first thing that we need to talk about is properly mounting that optic onto your slide. Now there's a couple of different options there. There's direct mount, okay, where the slide itself has been milled specifically for the optic footprint that you intend to use. And then there's also different types of adapter plates that allow you to choose different optics to mount that onto your slide. Now, for example, if you were going to mount a red dot onto your Glock MOS gun, I would highly recommend that you get a high quality mounting plate, such as one from C&H Precision, and not use the factory mounting plate. They fit much better, they're a little bit lower, and they're way more durable and reliable. Once you go to mount it onto the gun, you do need to ensure that you properly clean all of the screws and the threads for the mounting. You need to use either a really good alcohol and or acetone to make sure that all of the old oils are off of those threads. Otherwise, your Loctite will not work well. So whether you're using Loctite, Vibratite, or an other brand, you need to make sure that you are using the right type for that purpose. I would recommend the blue Loctite or possibly the blue Loctite paste. The paste works really well because if you're mounting it on something such as a slim frame Glock, your Loctite won't leak down through those thread holes into the top of the slide and possibly cause malfunctions. The next thing you need to make sure is you torque things correctly. You need to use the right spec torque for what you're using, normally either 10 or 15 inch-pounds, and you need to use a Torx Limiter. Don't just kind of say, oh, I think that's about right. If you over torque it, you're gonna strip or cause serious problems, and now you're gonna need a gunsmith to get involved to fix and or repair that gun. On top of that, when you go to mount the optic onto the gun, you need to make sure that it's fitting correctly before you start torquing things down. For example, once I go to put the optic onto the top of the gun, I need to make sure that it is flat and flush before I start torquing down difficult. Now, it might not be perfectly flush. There might be a little bit of light coming through because the screws will pull it down tight to the top of the plate or the slide. But I need to make sure that it is lined up correctly before I start screwing down. One of the big things that we see on the 509T is people will kind of plop it down on top of the optic and then start torquing it down to allow the screw to try to pull it down tight. And it needs to be sitting in the groove flush on top of that plate before you start screwing it down and torquing it in place. So again, once we've mounted the optic there, we want to make sure we're using Loctite, we torque things to correct spec, and then we mark those screws so that we make sure that we can monitor that they're maintaining that torque spec and they're in place. Now, once it's installed and everything has been checked, let it sit. It's probably going to take at least overnight, if not 24 hours, for that Loctite to cure properly before you go to the range and start shooting. All right, guys. Congratulations on your decision. Go out there, train hard, stay safe. We'll see you next time.